Knew I fucked myself up. Hold on. Or I'll just go again. Hey guys, welcome to Layman's Terms Podcast, place where we talk about really big topics using the smallest words possible. I'm Danny the bartender.
And I'm Tommy the trash man.
And together we're just two guys trying to explain the ever-changing world around us the only way that we know how. And we've been on a little bit of a hiatus because I was on vacation, a well-deserved vacation. I've been doing nothing constantly, and I needed a break. I needed a break from doing nothing.
a break from nothingness.
Yeah.
A little break from the monotony.
So I went to Puerto Rico. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. How was it?
It was pretty cool, dude. I'd never been. I mean, it's like you're leaving. It's like you're leaving the country, but you're not, which is interesting. You know?
Yeah. How long was that flight?
It's on the way there was a little more. I think like a basic straight through flight was like 3.5 hours, which is nothing.
Yeah.
But it was weird because we flew to like North Carolina first, which you think would make it shorter. So it was like an hour and a half. And then when I got the next flight, it was like 4 hours. I don't understand it. It was 3.5 hours straight through coming way back. So
yeah,
I'm not a pilot, so I don't understand all the aerodynamics.
Well, you hit the were you going against the jet stream or whatever they say, right?
Nah, I guess.
Something like that.
It's easier than walking.
Yeah. So how was that experience? Like, what was going through the airports and all that jazz?
No, well, I had to get my COVID test, and I was good. I had to get pull up to CVS, get a little swab, which is interesting in itself because when you when you go to get a COVID test, it says you got to pay. Like, there's so many weird rules. So it says you got to pay like $130. However, if you just say, I work with people, you don't pay anything. So I didn't have to give like insurance or anything. It's just like you answer a question and say, well, I work around people, and then you get the test. And then when I got there, you go through the whole flying process, and I kept thinking the whole time, they're not going to check me. They're not even checking me. Why'd I get the test? And thank God we got the test, because right before you leave the airport in Puerto Rico, like going into Puerto Rico, they have dudes in like hazmat suits that demand that you show your information that you took the test, which was interesting too. There's like a pile up of people that you have to do a little bit of stuff on your own, on your phone, fill something out and put all your information in. So just the mere fact that not everybody understands that's going to happen right there causes like kind of a bottleneck,
So going like to the airport in Baltimore, there was
nothing.
It wasn't until you got to Puerto Rico
it wasn't until you got into Puerto Rico and tried to actually get into Puerto Rico. But what I thought was also weird was, and there's got to be, the system is a little confusing, because just the same way that it seemed like I was never going to get checked on the way going to Puerto Rico. Now, the weird part was when you come back from Puerto Rico, there's nobody checking you. When I got off the plane in Baltimore, nobody checked me for a COVID test. Now, I don't know if they know that, like, apparently you only have to get tested when you're flying. It's really complicated. You only get tested when you're like, you need to take a test no matter where you're flying, I'm pretty sure. Do you know if that's domestically?
I don't know. I have no idea anything that's going on in the airport.
Well, see, I won't lie. It was fucking confusing because I've seen this even before, just with the regular rules. Like, do you remember back when they started making you take your shoes off and shit?
Yeah.
Well, I noticed, like, I would go to Baltimore and they didn't have any of that bullshit. And I'm like, oh, they don't do it. And then you get to Philly and all of a sudden you're getting your asshole checked, Right. So
did they give you an anal swab in Puerto Rico?
I wish. I asked the guy. I said, hey, can we do it right here?
Yeah.
but
just walking through the airport with your pants down, like, who's gonna swab me?
Hey, now can I pick the guy? Yeah, you, please. Yeah.
Can I get a swab over here?
I could only imagine what that swab looks like when it comes out.
So it's kind of weird because I would think that they would test you once you get in the airport, because if they're not testing people and then somebody with COVID gets on, then everybody's fucking got it. And then you get to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know what I mean? And then you get to Puerto Rico, not that you're going to test positive right away, but.
Well, this is what I noticed too. Like I was saying it to I didn't want to get too into this kind of shit, But look, that's the way I am. Like when I'm sitting on the fucking airplane, like in other words, like I guess normal people just fucking think about nothing and shit. I'm constantly like looking at like how the system fucking doesn't make sense or make sense or what's going on. So there was actually a guy that got because I didn't know if I was going to be sitting next to people on the plane. I didn't know how it was going to work. Like, and so you figure me and my girlfriend had 2 seats in a 3-seat situation, and when I went to my seats, there was a guy as a third guy next to me. Now, remember, just like you said, nobody fucking checked anybody for COVID yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I realized the flight attendant came up to the guy and was like, if you'd like to move to a different seat now that we're full, you can. And the guy like kind of got mad and looked at her and he's like, yeah, well, you didn't even check my fucking COVID papers yet. She's like, oh, we don't do that yet. And I realized like it made me think like that guy was saying to himself, like, you didn't check anybody for fucking COVID. Now you stuck 2 fucking people directly next to me, you know?
Yeah.
So just like you said, dude, I think this is what I found from my little airplane ride was that people are fighting more over rules and it doesn't mean anything because when you get there, nothing made sense. Nothing made COVID like, like you said, like you put me next to a guy in the airport, I have to take a test, but yet I can be around a million people that haven't taken a test. But, so what does it matter? And then it's like, I'm sure there's people out there fighting like, can you believe they make us pay to take a test? But yet you don't really have to pay if you just say anything normal. Like
Right.
if you know that there's a way that you could not pay, it's not very complicated to not pay. So I just think it was one of them things where it was like really nobody's fucking abiding by any real serious fucking rules. Now,
Yeah.
what was cool was when I came back from Puerto Rico, like 4 or 5 days later, I got a fucking email from like the Puerto Rican health department, like asking me if I have symptoms and shit. So, like, at
Was
least
it?
they're fucking doing their job.
Yeah. So like when you're on the plane, anybody like coughs or sneezes, it's kind of like after 9/11 when you were looking at somebody Muslim, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, like, but it wasn't, there was, to be honest with you, though, here's the funny part. When we were in Puerto Rico, we were just looking at stuff, and Puerto Rico's, see, I've been seeing a lot of people going to Puerto Rico. So I guess that's where my girlfriend probably got the idea to even go in the first place. But what was really interesting was while we're there, we were like sitting in a restaurant and we were like looking on something, and Puerto Rico is like code red. Like it's like a high fucking, like a whatever, highly contagious fucking spreader zone or something.
Oh, Jesus, really?
Yeah, which was, I was like, and I'll tell you what I thought was cool too was you don't get the rules blasted in your face. And it like I'm not going to sit here and say that they didn't abide by COVID rules, but it was weird because everybody was kind of abiding by COVID rules without kind of being fucking told constantly. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we went to the casino, they checked you, shit like that. You go to a restaurant, of course, they make sure they don't seat you next to people. But it was weird because there were times where I was kind of being like, are they actually like am I in a zone where nobody gives a fuck? And it's like on one hand it was like nobody gives a fuck, but on another hand everybody was doing things on their own to abide by the rules, so it was pretty cool.
Was a lot of people like, is everybody wearing masks and all, or?
That's what I mean. Like you go to the supermarket, people wearing masks. On the
Okay.
way in the supermarket there's a girl like fucking spraying you down with fucking Purell and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, that you didn't, there wasn't like an uptightness that I feel when I go out down here,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, whoa, like fucking grabbing, like, if you were to like start walking in the store and not take the Purell, the girl would just politely like tap you and shit and be like, you need to fucking Purell. I'm like, okay.
Dude, I was at the CVS the other day, and it's one of the first times. Like I've been to stores where people haven't had masks on, but nobody's really ever said anything. You know what I mean? And like the other day, I was at the cash register, and this dude walks in, and I don't know. I think he was only coming in for a mask, which was interesting because like the other day, I'm running to the store. And I'm like looking over my back seat. I'm like, shit, I got no mask. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, do
Yeah.
I just use my shirt to like cover my face? And he walks in, and this lady's like, sir, you need to have a mask. And he was like, oh yeah, do you have any for sale? I kind of want to buy one. And she was like, right over here, right over here. And I was just kind of laughing because I was like, how's that work? You know what I mean? Because I was going to go into the store the other day and I'm like, fuck, totally forgot my mask. And then the other day was really nice out, like Saturday, I ran to the mall. Totally oblivious, like completely forgot my mask. I'm walking up and this guy's walking straight towards me. And I see him, like I'm staring at him. He's got his mask on. And then it dawns on me, shit, I don't have my mask. And I was like, fuck. And he laughed because he knew. He's like, forget your mask. I'm like, motherfucker. Yeah. As soon as I looked at you, he just laughed.
No, but you know, like, dude, I forgot. One time I went to make a liquor run when the bar was open, and I made a liquor run for them. I went down to the liquor store, and dude, right as I fucking pulled up to the liquor store, I went to put my mask on, and the fucking band snapped on the side. So I was like sitting in the car with a fucking screwdriver, like poking 2 fucking holes in the fucking side of the mask and remaking it. But did you also see somebody made one of those like little fucking Instagram clips to like reveal the hypocrisy? And the girl was in the drive-through, I guess somewhere in California or something. You still need to have a mask on when you pull up to the drive-through.
Yeah.
And she probably did it on purpose. So sometimes I don't really care for these kind of videos because she was being a kind of like a bitch to do it, I guess.
Yeah, she went through 60 before one of them reacted. And then,
well, yeah, but no, what she did was she ordered a soda, like just a soda.
Yeah.
And she pulled up, and the guy was like, "Ma'am, I can't give you your soda until you have a mask on." And she's like, "Well, I don't have one." And he's like, "Well, let me give you one." And she's like, "So you can give me a mask? You can hand me a mask with your hands, but you can't just hand me the drink that you have in your other hand."
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
And it was I drove through Dunkin' Donuts the other day, and I'm in my car, so like it doesn't even like register that I need to put a mask on. And then I saw like on the window, must have a mask on. Now, I didn't do it. Like I didn't put it on. Like I'm in my car. You know what I mean? But I could see the reluctance. Like the lady that was like about to give me my latte is like kind of like,
ooh,
like I gotta like reach halfway into the store to grab my fucking latte, and then on top of it, there's no whipped cream. I'm like, come on, get this order right.
But the reason why I don't fucking like those little videos where they do that to those people is that guy, like, in other words, there's a lot of things, and I noticed just from being in the bar business, where you get told something and you keep breaking the rule because you agree, like, let me just give this bitch her soda, you know? But every time you do it, because you know it's fucking hypocritical in a sense or whatever, your boss comes in behind you and it's like, don't do that, you know, period. Never do it again. So that dude is like, look, just, I can't. Like, he's not necessarily saying, I am the fucking COVID scientist guy and I can't do it. He's like, I'm going to get in trouble if you don't have a fucking mask on and I give you the soda, you know?
Yeah. So was Puerto Rico cool? Like, is it pretty like, I would imagine it's really Americanized, right?
Well, this is the thing that sucks, to be honest. Oh, it's you know what's kind of cool? It's really Americanized, but it's not. Like, it's like nobody speaks English until they, like, it seems like everybody speaks English, but at the same time, you know, if like it wasn't like there were American people everywhere, and everything is Spanish. Like, it ain't like every sign has something English underneath of it or something. Yeah. But it's pretty, you know, you never feel like, oh my God, I'm so lost without knowing Spanish or something. But the main thing that was cool was, you know, we got it was cheap to go. You got an Airbnb. You saw my pictures. That was my fucking room, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing. Nice. Everything was beautiful. Yeah. It's really beautiful. And the other thing that's kind of cool about it is I've been to places like, you know, you go to the Bahamas or Bermuda or some island or something. Fuck, I've been to Haiti on a cruise and shit. But Puerto Rico looks like that tropical paradise, like the beaches do. Yeah. The funny part that I thought was when you're driving down the highway and shit, it's just like mechanic. Like, I'm thinking everybody's a mechanic. How many fucking mechanics do you need in this country?
Right.
But the main thing was, I didn't do anything too exciting. Went to the casino, went to dinner. It was her birthday and stuff. And it was just really amazing. Like, it was just a beautiful place. But what sucks is it's kind of sucks going on vacation when all of a sudden, I just said to somebody the other day, they were like, yeah, but traveling's cheap and all. I'm like, traveling's cheap, but it just sucks to have to be cheap when you get there,
Right.
So it was what it was, went to the beach, went to dinner, stuff like that. I mean, you're with my girlfriend and she brought her sister, and because she's a twin. So
Okay.
it was her twin sister's birthday, obviously. And then their friend came. And we didn't really get like crazy because every time we tried to go out, now, okay, getting into COVID, when you try to go out, everything's just like here where fucking everything closes at 10 o'clock. So
Yeah.
I think our first night there, we didn't even realize that. And we like got all ready to go out at like fucking 9:30 or something. And we went out and they were like, sorry, closed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it didn't matter because we just went back to the pool, that was
Yeah.
at our house. We had our private pool.
Even
So
even the casinos?
casino closed. I'd never been in a situation like that in my life. Sitting on a fucking slot machine and having somebody come over and say, you got to get the fuck out of here. And you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This place is open all night long, I thought.
Yeah. 11 o'clock, the casino closed.
Nice. Well, dude, that's good for you, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was a simple, listen, I can tell you right now, I had a great time. Puerto Rico is beautiful. The people, it's weird. Because of COVID, I guess. And this is what I mean about them not jamming it in your face. I even said to my girlfriend, we're leaving, I was like, everybody seemed cool, but yet imagine how you interact with people right now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I immersed myself in the world,
in the culture. Yeah.
But at the same time, little interactions I had with people were very like embracing,
Yeah.
Everybody was really nice. We did look for marijuana one night. It was pretty interesting.
How'd that go?
It was fuck, dude. So the one night we went looking for it, and so we're like walking around. Fucking somebody kept telling us you got to go to Old San Juan or something. So we're walking around, and somebody's like, "Go down there. That's where you get it." And so we were like about to walk down. I mean, it's even hard to describe. It looks like an old like castle wall, and then you walk down like a real far steps, and you're kind of on the beach, but the beach has this fucking like ghetto neighborhood in it. And somebody was like, don't go down there. There's a fucking hood. So we changed our mind last minute.
I was gonna say this sounds like the beginning of like a horror movie.
Well, this is the thing that's so funny. So I'm thinking, because the main reason why I didn't go down there was because I'm like, look, I don't want to be walking around like, hey, you got weed in a fucking hood where I don't know anybody and shit.
Yeah.
So we went there the next day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Dude, the people weren't kidding. We walked down those steps and there was a guy just selling drugs. Like when I say selling drugs, I don't mean marijuana. I mean anything you want it. And he was standing there. You know what? You ever go to Vegas?
Yes.
You know, when you're walking around and the guy's like, yo, I got that good. I got the good. And they all, but you would never, like, it's probably shit. Cause you also know you're in the States. Like you're not allowed to do that. Yeah. So, well, when we went down, I'm not kidding, dude. It was like the guy minus, well, I had a kiosk, like fucking marijuana, cocaine. And cause we went down there and there was just a guy there and he was like, hey, you guys want some weed? Pulls it right out. And she's like, okay. And then right after she bought the weed, he just pulled out a bag of Coke and was like, you want the bling bling? They're like, nah, we're good. We're good. We just a weed. Thank you very much.
Was it like the nicest drug dealer you ever met?
Yeah. It was like fucking, and I'll tell you what, though, that's where I said to my girlfriend I said, cause it was weird. It was a weird little ghetto town that was ravaged by the fucking hurricane. So there was like a bar down on the street where you just walk in and it looks like a fucking, like the roof isn't even on the place. And the guy's selling beer like in a small little area. And they kept telling us, come back for the party later. And at first we were like down there and we're like, she had a beer at the bar. And like, she just bought some drugs. We're having a beer at the bar. And it was so set up for drugs. Like after we bought the weed, she went into this bar and the bar sold like fucking rollers and shit. So we, we were just kind of hanging out down there for a minute. And then when we went up there, I was like, maybe we shouldn't go back for the park. 'Cause I was like, if we're going to get COVID anywhere, that's where we're getting it down there. Like, I'm not that scared of COVID, but they ain't scared of COVID at all. And it's like a fucking drug den. So I'm good.
So is it like the best weed ever? Some good shit.
I didn't smoke. She did. And you know what? You know what was funny? Was she smokes all the time. And I also thought they got like American prices, like a 20 for 20 or whatever.
Right.
And I thought, tourists probably getting ripped off or something. Like it's probably going to be dirt weed or something.
Yeah.
She was fucking, they started smoking it and then fucking, and these are people that smoke all the time.
Yeah.
And they had like 2 hits and they're like, yo, I'm fucking high as shit. And I'm like, whoa, really?
Yeah,
Probably
man.
laced it with the bling bling.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, it was just a simple little getaway. It was fun. It was whatever.
I'm jealous, man. I need a little getaway myself. I'm trying to go. There's a indoor ski resort up in New Jersey. So I'm hoping to go see a buddy of mine who lives close to it, up near like East Rutherford.
New Jersey. Ski?
Snowboard. I'm better at that.
You good at it? Snowboard, I suck at.
I mean, I'm okay. Like I'm better at that than I am at skiing. I have a problem with keeping my legs together with skis. Like with the snowboard, I'm locked into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've always just been better at that than I was with skiing.
Which it's funny too, because every time people have a skiing conversation with me, I'm like, yeah, I can ski, whatever. But I also haven't skied in 17 years, so I probably can't ski.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm worried about because I haven't gone in probably about 10 years, roughly about that. And dude, I do fall, and my old ass, man, I'll fall now and just break everything.
Well, I had trouble stopping skiing.
Yeah,
I had trouble staying up snowboarding.
Yeah. And see that's the thing. Like you talking about a hiatus. And that was like me, like Saturday night. I'm just at a family gathering, and we had the daylight savings time, so we lost that hour. I didn't go to bed till 2:00 in the morning or so. Had to get up at 8:30 for work. Dude, I was so like I felt like I was hungover for 2 days. Like
from skiing?
No, from Saturday night, the daylight savings time.
Oh,
it was an hour. Like, and that was another reason why we took an extra day or two to hop on here because I couldn't get my thoughts together, dude. I was at work on Monday. Like, where the fuck am I at? I literally like daylight savings times. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm at the age now where it's like, dude, it feels like daylight savings times losing an hour is like me drinking a bottle of moonshine.
Well, am I making this up, or I could have swore I read something where people are trying to push to like not do daylight savings time anymore or something? Because somebody was making the argument, like, for those of you that don't want it, do you really want sunrise to be at 8:30 a.m. or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've heard different things about it, but I don't really care too much. Whatever. I mean, they changed Mission Potato Head, so go ahead and change that.
Yeah, for me, dude, I don't know what it is, but I'm like a creature of the night. I love like the earlier it gets dark, the fucking happier I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't, it's like fucking, I don't know what it is. It's like fucking when it's daytime, I just want to sleep and shit. And then the night comes and I'm fucking up.
Well, being a bartender for X amount of years, I mean, that's your time of the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like fucking, even when I work on my house, I do most of my work on my house, like between fucking like probably 10 and 4:00 in the morning, which is probably horrible for my neighbors. But
dude, I was gonna say your neighbors don't go crazy.
Well, a lot of these houses were under construction, so like people didn't like all the main fucking like running a big power saw or fucking jackhammer and shit. That's when I used to do that stuff. There was nobody living around me,
Yeah,
which was fucking scary too, because I used to think, thank God I'm never like, what if somebody tried to fucking kill me in the middle of the night? And people would be like, that's just him using the jackhammer again.
Well, dude, yeah, that shit would drive. I mean, because you're in a row home, and like, it gets loud, man.
And I can hear the fucking people next to me. Like when we started the podcast, I remember like picking up conversations next door on my microphone, and I'm like, them people had to want to kill me.
Yeah, you're fucking right. So yeah, man, you came back home, and
I made it.
And the world continues to turn left.
Yeah, I'm the worst though, dude. Every time I go on vacation, I just want to come back. When it comes time to coming back, I hate being as I've gotten older, I hate being away from my situation because I got so much shit to do, you know? I'm
Uh,
not like bitching, dude. It was a great vacation, but what I mean is be like for me, I was right in the middle of like building my kitchen and I didn't fucking get it done, you know? And then I was like, I gotta go back and finish my kitchen. I thought about it the whole fucking 4 days I was there.
well, dude, it's not like you don't still have time. You know what I mean?
Ah, true. Well, I go back to work on April 1st. I don't know if I told you that.
No, yeah, you did. So
Yeah.
so they're lifting. Are there any restrictions? Is it?
Well, no, it's just see, they did the same shit. Like my governor, I mean, yeah, my governor is Republican. So he followed suit with all the other Republican governors and lifted everything, right?
Okay.
So eh, the whole of Maryland is there's no more mandate. Like you can wear you got to wear a mask, I think, but
Yeah.
like you can open up 100% whatever you want to do. Lifted all COVID restrictions on restaurants and businesses. But in Baltimore City, our Democratic mayor said he's not changing anything. So we like in other words, I'm only going back to work because my job is better in the springtime.
Okay.
But we're still at like 25% or whatever the fuck the rules are,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So so I guess our governor lifted all restrictions, but the mayor is at exactly the restrictions they were at 3 months ago. So
Nice.
I don't fucking know. Whatever.
Nice.
Just give me my fucking stimulus check.
Yeah, yeah, man. Everybody's gonna be out and spending those
Yeah.
stimmies. Uh, but yeah, dude, I was so I said I mentioned that I was at a family gathering on Saturday night, and I was actually having a discussion with my uncle. He's conservative, and throughout the years, I look to him for advice on politics. Like I trust his opinion. Even when I leaned a little bit more left, talking to him, and he would kind of sometimes I'd be like, oh, I guess I didn't see it that way. And we were having this discussion about about culture in America, and he was like, he's like, I don't understand like how people don't know right from wrong anymore. And he's like, it's like common sense. I mean, that's basically all you have to live your life by, just what's right and what's wrong. Uh, and it got a little bit heated at times. We were talking about a few things, and of course we always end on a positive note. But I was kind of, even as somebody that kind of leans right, there are certainly things that I think maybe he took the wrong way. Like I was saying, there are certain aspects of American culture that kind of causes part of the problem. I mean, American rights, freedom of speech, for instance, there are unintended consequences because of that, right? And I use the exact example of Colin Kaepernick kneeling, freedom of speech. It's his right to do that. But because of that, it caused a big divide in the country. Now, he disagreed with me. He didn't think it did. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying. I didn't understand where he was coming from on that, because I'm like, everywhere I turn on news outlets and talking to people, it seemed like everybody had an opinion on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and
Well, I mean, if I could say something like I think you're right. Number one, I think, but the divide was caused, and I think it shows actually how right you are, because freedom of speech is important, and Colin Kaepernick uh, had the right and has the right, and anyone who wants to has the right, I think, to fucking kneel if they want. The difference is I should also have the right to not kneel. That's the thing, is that it turned into like, if you don't fucking kneel, then you're this says more about you than just some, you know what I mean?
the
Like that's where the divide came, I'd say.
Yeah, and that was also part of his argument. And he was like, freedom of speech is bullshit. And he said, because you're not free, speech is not really free. He said, because only one side of speech is technically free. And he was basically talking about, the differences in freedoms between Republicans and Democrats. Um, and one example that we saw recently was the Mumford and Sons, is a popular pop folk band. The guitarist shared a tweet about Andy No, who is a journalist who wrote a book currently about Antifa. And it was, this guy, he's an Asian, a gay Asian American male. And he was attacked in Portland. They fractured his orbital bone. I mean, he was pretty messed up. And he's been following them and studying them for years. And his book was highly criticized. And then, of course, the guy from Mumford and Sons tweeted out about it, saying, I guess he read it, and then he had to resign from the band. He either resigned, they kicked him out. I don't know what exactly that's all about, but
well, let's be real honest. First off, like I would imagine a band like Mumford and Sons, these guys are like friends.
I would think so.
And so it's like this is what I think is funny about stuff like this. It's like, so they didn't know, like all of a sudden this guy's like, hey, read this book about Antifa. And his own friends were like, get the fuck out of the band.
Well, and it's not even the first time that they've had a little bit of controversy, because a few years ago, they took a picture with Jordan Peterson, and people were up in arms about that.
See, I think that it's disgusting because I really like, just based on what we know, from what you just said, like I haven't read all the fucking gossip or the real story about it, but like his friends had to have sat down and they didn't say, yo, we don't like you anymore, get out of the band. They definitely had to sit down and say like, look, if you don't get out of the band, we're fucked. You know what I mean? Like they had to like, I doubt they hate him or something,
Yeah, I don't know. And so he released a statement, basically apologizing for him being insensitive and all these things. And I'm like, what the fuck is he being insensitive? He read a fucking book that's telling about Antifa. That's being insensitive?
And I think that's where the cookie starts to crumble, dude. Is like you have two choices. You could come out and say what you just said. Like, hey, I read the book. You can disagree with me or whatever, but it's a damn good book, and Antifa does exist or something. And people might be pissed off, but you can move forward. The minute you like apologize and do, it's like everything starts to fall apart for you. I don't know why people haven't realized that yet.
Well, I guess because there's so much money involved, your whole career, it's probably like Gina Carano. Do we talk about her being?
We never did talk about her.
Okay, well, if people don't know, she was a star. She was an MMA fighter. Then she became an actress. She was in the Mandalorian. She shared a few tweets about COVID and about I don't know.
The main one that got her in trouble was she basically just tweeted out something that referenced in some way that the way Jews were treated during World War II in some way reflects what's going on with conservatives and being censored.
Right. So she was then fired from the Mandalorian, and then she was brought on to the Daily Wire, I guess, with Ben Shapiro and all them, and now she's going to make her own movie and all whatnot over there. But she details, she was like, we had after she released those tweets, she had people that came to her house, and she had to go through this like education system, like I don't know, re-education thing, and people like sensitivity training and all these things, and for them to write things up to release a statement. And she just was like, this is ridiculous. Like,
well, the most interesting part was that she also said that they made her have like a Zoom call with like the LGBT community or something like that.
Yeah.
But she even said like when she was done talking to them, they actually said to Disney, like, she's not a problem. She doesn't like they went back and was like, she's not a problem. And so it's crazy. But yo, when you mentioned the Daily Wire, I've been brushing it off because everybody kept telling me, I don't know if you saw the movie, but apparently he made a movie, Run, Hide, Fight or something. You know
Yeah,
that?
with Thomas Jane.
So it doesn't seem, I don't know if it's a movie I really care about, right? So I just never
Right.
really cared about it.
Right.
But what I think is amazing now, and I got to look more into it, is I can't believe it's going to be Ben Shapiro, because I don't not like Ben Shapiro. Don't get me wrong. He just doesn't, he's not like the guy I like to watch. You know what I mean? I
Right.
don't not like Ben Shapiro. I don't
Right.
disagree with Ben Shapiro. He just, he's just not a guy I get real interested into, because he's like a little nerdy guy, you know,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I just, everybody has their people they like and people they don't like, you know?
Yeah, no, and I totally get that. And that's actually another segue into another, which I don't know. I don't think this really got covered as a big topic, but there were a group of Black conservatives, a woman in particular. I don't know her name, for instance, but she was criticizing Candace Owens to some extent. Basically, she came out and said, white people in particular really gravitate towards Candace. Um, but she said, it's kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, yeah, you got Carlton and you got Will Smith. And she said she's the Carlton, but we need some Will Smiths,
Yeah.
to go out and talk to people in the inner cities that can really get our message across to them.
I think you're talking about Angela Stanton King.
And that wasn't her.
Okay.
It wasn't. She's not a big fan of Candace, but it wasn't her.
Okay.
But now a lot of people came to Candace's defense, Brandon Tatum, a few other people, and they stuck up for her. But I kind of understand what this woman was trying to say. And it's just like you said with Ben Shapiro. Like, it's not like you don't necessarily, you agree with his message. You just don't like the messenger.
Well, let me even say this though. Just, you are right, but I just want to clarify something. I like Ben Shapiro. I just don't. You know what I mean? It's like saying somebody's a good actor. They're just not the movie. It's just not who I want to watch. That's it. You know?
Right. Which is fine. And, that's there was a lot of blowback within some of the conservative movements. And I'm kind of like, well, I kind of agree with this woman. Like, I personally, I like Candace, but I also I understand how she comes across like she's pretty hardcore. So some people maybe can be turned off by her. And I understand that, and that's fine. As long as you still get the message out, like I said, the messenger is irrelevant.
Well, here's this. Actually, I thought you were breaking away from what I was saying about the Daily Wire, but it actually comes full circle now, because what I was going to say though is I think that I've been having this thought like for months, even when I told you about my website, where I was like, the reason why I got into what I was doing for the Donald stuff was conservatives aren't funny. Just like you said, there's Carlton and there's Will Smith, and I won't be Will Smith.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, when you look at I don't know if you know this, but the FBI actually was able to say in some of these like kind of fake protests that went on, like how people have used, it happened in Philly where they said the Proud Boys were going to be somewhere, and then they purposely did like a BLM protest trying to cause a fight. Did you hear about that?
No.
Well, what has gone on throughout the summer is that there were like it was influenced, like some of the shit was Russian disinformation and stuff. And so what they were doing was somebody, and this is not me making some shit up. This is legit stuff. It has happened where, because there would be one rally set up, somebody would want to cause trouble and start spreading a rumor that like, Proud Boys are going to meet up there. We're going to have a protest. And what they were really trying to do was force two groups to be in the same spot at the same time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, the reason why I'm saying this is the in one of the investigations into one of these events, the way that they were able to disclaim that it was actually a far right group was because the flyers were more representative of the like BLM movement. So what that was like they literally said in there like a far right group is more likely to just be like clip art and a certain kind of font. And so what I'm getting at is basically the left is more like entertaining, more into graphic design, more, you know what I mean? And then the far right is like a clip art of a gun and like, protect the Second Amendment. So anyway, where this all fits in is, how people keep saying we got to create our own economy. Like you can't just rely on Twitter. You got to have your own thing. But then when a conservative makes something, it's just not fucking cool. It's just not. And when a conservative makes a movie, like when they go, we got to make our own movies. Even look at Fox. Fox is not fucking entertaining. Like when you go on CNN or The View or some shit, like The View to me is like a far left kind of fucking media show. However, I understand why women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s would rather watch The View than watch fucking Fox and Friends,
Right.
And so I kept saying to myself, like, we gotta come up with something. And it goes right back into what you were saying about the Will Smith Carlton thing. We don't have to make what I started to realize is you don't have to have conservative media. How about a conservative just make a fucking movie that he likes that's funny? You know what I mean? Like in other words, Gina Carano would not have been thrown off The Mandalorian if somebody that was a conservative actually made a show like the fucking Mandalorian where someone couldn't be canceled off of it. You know what I mean? Like instead of setting out to make a media and give your message, we just need more people that are conservatives to fucking just be in the business. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
And just have a little bit better personalities.
Yeah, like well, no, because I guess you're right in a sense, but I don't think that the personalities lack. I think what it is when a conservative gets so mad that they're like, fuck it, I'm going to make my own fucking social media. Or I'm going to make my own whatever. They then set forth to fucking spread their message. And I'm sorry, but the message, the blatant written out message of conservatism is boring. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think they always seem like more angry and bitter.
Yeah, and then but then the other thing too is you ever see these, like I've watched a couple of movies like that. I don't know if you remember, not too long ago there was a movie out where it actually had Navy SEALs in it, and it got a little bit of like reviews, so I tried to watch it. And dude, it was like the guy goes home to his wife and they were like praying before they eat, and like the guy would say for no reason at all, like, just remember, baby, I love you and God. And it's like, this is boring. Just make a movie and have the guy fucking carry a fucking holy card in his pocket. Like, we don't need the message of God in it. You know what I mean? Like, let us like, that's what the left, I think, does better is they just make a movie and the message is kind of fucking hidden in it. You know what I mean? Like, the people don't realize it's being jammed in their face,
Right,
or at least we used to. But anyway, with the Daily Wire, so this is where I think is amazing. Candace Owens has a fucking late night talk show now. Like, I think Ben Shapiro, the guy who I've been neglecting, is actually about to really make a fucking network like I'm talking about. Like, Gina Carano's making a movie. He made Run, Hide, Fight. He's now creating like a Netflix kind of thing out of the Daily Wire where he's releasing like cool documentaries. Candace Owens got her own fucking show. Like, what I think conservatives need is like, look at some of these people that are funny, like Steven Crowder. Like I was thinking the other day, like, what if a conservative made a comedy movie that had nothing to do with fucking politics, but it had like 5 really funny conservative comedians in it that would never be allowed to get a job in Hollywood because they're conservative. However, they don't have to be talking about fucking Trump or God or whatever. Just make a movie,
Well, I think the difficult part to that is a true conservative. I mean, in today's society, it is kind of boring in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you believe in God and like that's kind of like your number one priority as a conservative, pro-choice, all these things, then you're not gonna look to Cardi B and Wet Ass Pussy for like entertainment. You know what I'm saying? But that's like what's dominating the culture.
100. Well, but dude,
so it's kind of difficult to
and this is what I mean.
know.
I don't know exactly how to do, but I guess the best way to kind of describe what I'm saying is like, you can see how you said like fucking, like they believe in God, they believe in whatever. But the thing is like you don't have to stop and make it a TLC movie. You know what I mean? Like you can make a joke in a movie while you're making some, like, like you could, like, let's just say you made a movie right now about like a conservative guy, be like whatever. Like, in other words, it doesn't have to all be about him being conservative and loving God. However, there could be moments in the movie where he comedically dismisses or shows the hypocrisy of it, as they would do in movies, But what I do just think is, I believe it or not, I think the Daily Wire is going to become something that I do think the Daily Wire is going to be something, and I'm fucking excited about it now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is kind of ways that you can maybe work around that, when it comes to what was that comedian? Tim Allen, was it? Right?
Yeah.
Tim Allen,
Yeah.
Tim the Tool Man Allen, the Tool Man Taylor.
And he's a Trump supporter.
And he's a conservative. And back, what was it? I guess the early 90s with his show. I mean, that was a wildly successful show. What the hell was the name of that show? Tool Time?
Yeah.
Something like that. And that was just a family. Like, there wasn't anything really raunchy about it. It was just dealing with family issues. What's difficult about that is, though, like, we don't really have, like, we grew up, you had TJIF, man. You know what I mean? Like, there was those primetime TV shows that everybody tuned into. That's not really a big thing now. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what's really, Tom, like, there's so much, like, I forgot about some because we haven't done this in so long, that there was a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about last week that fit right into what you're saying, because Tim the Tool Man is actually one of the podcasters that we both follow or follow us, posted a Tim the Tool Man Taylor clip. Did you see that by chance? No. But anyway, it made me go on down this rabbit hole, because do you know what I've been watching, dude? How I've been telling you that I can't watch TV anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I can't watch TV anymore. Just fucking, it's all these messages. And do you want to know what I really love to watch right now? Dinosaurs. You remember that show?
Yeah, but I can't believe you like to watch it.
Well, but do you know why? Because there's no fucking message in it, because it's got its own world. It's just a guy and his wife. So where I went down the rabbit hole was, all those shows are gone. The shows that are gone, that we don't have anymore in anything, at least that I can name, it's not so much the Roseannes or the Tim Toolman ones, but it's not that those shows don't exist, like a show with that kind of family, but the show where the guy, see, you're not allowed to pity a white male, right? So in other words, in a show like Tim the Tool Man, or in a show like Roseanne, or in a show like whatever, there were moments where it was like, basically what the whole show was about was like, John Goodman would come home and get fired. You know what I mean? Right. And then it was like, oh my God, what are we going to, it was all those dad things, like dad got fired, or dad's got a new job, or dad's, doesn't know how to satisfy his wife because it's Valentine's Day and he messed up and he did, whatever. And all those kind of shows are completely gone now. But we had a talk on the podcast a long time ago when we were talking about how back in the day, the only reason why something would be on TV or not would be because people either liked it or didn't like it. Like you wouldn't make a show that only catered to 10% of the country. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, here's the problem. Netflix, Amazon Prime, which are all far left, they don't operate by results. The public has no clue how well a movie did or didn't do. You watch it because it's on Netflix. So we live in a world now where everybody's got Netflix. Even I still have Netflix and I can't stand it, but everybody's got it. So Netflix doesn't have to operate its programming by what I like. If you're paying for it, you must like it, period. If you still pay for Netflix, Maybe you don't like 10 of these shows, but you like one of them, so it doesn't matter. So Netflix in turn puts on whatever they want, and then therefore whatever you're seeing on Netflix, I just assume this is what everybody likes. Like, oh, here goes another story about a cop being a piece of shit or this thing or that thing. And I'm assuming that everybody likes it and that's why it's there. No, it's there because Netflix fucking made that movie, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no like fucking like, cause the reason why I know this definitely might be a bigger thing is because I remember Jim Gaffigan talking about how he doesn't like to do stand-up comedy for Netflix or Amazon Prime anymore because they're real strict about their viewing. So he would say to them, "How'd I do?" And they won't tell him. They don't tell him you had 100,000 views or you whatever. So basically, when you make something for them, for some reason they hide their numbers. They don't want to tell the people that made films and stuff like what they actually are responsible for. Now you could think maybe that's a way that they negotiate, like you'll never know how powerful you are as the guy that made that movie. You'll never know where you stand in a negotiation with Netflix. But I actually was thinking the other day, like, that's weird. Like you'll just never know how many people like something or didn't like something. And so therefore their programming just doesn't operate by the masses decision making. You know what I mean? They
Right.
look at it like if you pay $24.99, you like it.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Um,
I just thought I just did. Sorry if I went on a thing, but like, dude, there's so much more. Like the bottom line is I've been watching the fucking dinosaurs and I love it, and that's fucking
yeah.
weird because I never watched it even when it was fucking popular.
Yeah, it was not the baby. Not the baby.
Yeah.
That was the big thing.
Well, dude, the most interesting part about it, right? I never realized this when we were kids, but this is what I mean about where it's based in nothing. No one ever had a family before, right? So the thing that makes the show kind of funny to me now is it's not carrying anything into the show. Everything he does, like if it's Valentine's Day because they decide to have Valentine's Day, it's the first Valentine's Day that ever happened in history. And he goes to work and like asks his friends, like, what should I do? And they're like, I don't know. You're the first guy to be married. And like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's kind of cool. I don't know. Everybody can make fun of me because I like the fucking dinosaurs, but that's life.
No, no, it's like so this goes back to the conversation I was having with my uncle and culture, and he was saying that he doesn't really think that movies and entertainment, music, and all that thing really has an impact, which I disagree. I absolutely do think it does.
Huge impact. You're
You know,
crazy.
even just today, I saw Larry Johnson, former NFL running back, Penn State guy. He commented on some video, or whatever. It was this. The kid looks like he was 11 years old. It was called Baby Savage. It's a rapper. All these kids like dancing around in this rap video with guns and talking about shooting and I'll kill you. I'll unload my clip. Blah 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 blah. And he was like, "This." Now Larry Johnson's a very religious guy, and he was like, this is like satanic music. It's just a continuation of there's no fathers in the homes for these kids, and you can't be out here talking about culture, talking about cops killing each other or killing black people while you're openly advocating for it. Like, you're just a hypocrite. And he's 100% right, because it's entrenched. And dude, like I've said this before, like, I love hip hop. We grew up on it. Like, it really took off, like, when we were growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it does absolutely have an effect on people and on society in general. Um, and it's not to say that everybody that listens to that song is going to go out and shoot somebody, but it definitely has an influence over young kids and the way they act and the way they portray themselves. And it can lead to that, you know what I'm saying, like, that type of lifestyle is glorified. and it's dangerous.
Well, that you're 100% correct. And where this is where I think this is where the thing that I can't fully grasp yet, because I think we're all just learning it, And see, we liked rap because rap actually, like, a rapper didn't say, I'm a Democrat and vote for Bill Clinton. A rapper, when we were growing up, was like, fuck George Bush, fuck Bill Clinton, fuck them all. They don't like us. So what I'm getting at is not about politics, but what I mean is we saw hip hop and rap as against the system in some way on a whole. And when you seen guns and shit in the video, there was a conversation in the mainstream media about how there shouldn't be guns. But I guess what I'm saying is we were able to say, like, yo, this video's badass and this guy's a badass. However, I don't want to be a badass. And you're trying to explain to people, like, yo, just because this guy's talking about killing people doesn't mean I want to kill people. Now we live in this world where rap is actually aligned with the system, and the system for some reason defends the people in the video with the guns. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, like, in other words, I think that's where, and again, I'm not saying I'm a fucking expert on it. I'm just saying it's something that I'm having trouble with, because there's a lot of things that I really am not enjoying like I used to, because of this, what I think is kind of fucking propaganda. You know what I mean? But there's this extra fucking message being delivered and everything that doesn't really cater to me. Like, you know what I mean? It's somebody said it about Eminem. Like, I think in that slightly offensive podcast where they were talking to that rapper, and the guy was like, Eminem is the fucking king of fucking saying fuck you to the system and don't cancel me and don't whatever. But meanwhile, he's telling you if you voted for fucking Trump, don't like his shit or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, there's like a fucking juxtaposition of, like, these people that used to be outside the entire system are now aligned with half of it. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, they're actually trying to cancel Eminem right now. So,
did I send that to you, or did you send that to me?
I don't know. I mean, I just on social media, like, I see all these different little bits and clips about, I think some of his lyrics about Rihanna or something. I don't know.
But the exact lyrics are, tired to the bed and burn the house down if she ever leaves me again.
Yeah, yeah. And that song's not even that old. I mean, I don't know if that was like 2015, 16.
I think it was 2011.
Oh, was it? All right. Well, I don't know. It seems like
either way, it's fucking what, 4 years. I mean, what, like, the whole thing is, I actually think that anything that's, like, anybody attacking anything that's was out 4 years ago, 3 years ago, why are these people digging through shit? Like, we didn't have a problem with it then. What the fuck's the problem now?
But the irony is, it's kind of like what you just said. Like, he's like saying, and if any of my fans support Trump, fuck them. Yeah. That's cancel culture, and then cancel culture comes for him. Well, and he doesn't see, and a lot of these people can't see, like, yo, like, we can still be your fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't necessarily need to know. You don't need to tell me fuck you for who you vote for. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually they'll come for you too. Now, I don't think they're going to be very successful, but it's wild. There's this one chick that I follow on social media, Megan McLover. She's like a social commentator, kind of comedian. And she told this story today about, I could be completely wrong. I forget. I think it was maybe Indiana. I think she said, I don't remember, but basically, it was this woman was shot by her baby daddy and like 4 of her family members over stimulus check money.
My girlfriend just told me that shit 10 minutes ago.
So he went in and shot 4 people, killed 4 people.
His own family.
Yeah. Like, and this woman was going off. Like she was like, I'm about to start crying. She was like, you bitches need to stop fucking with these motherfuckers. And because apparently he was already arrested before for assault charges or something with guns, something. So you already see this is the type of person that it is. Now you're gonna date this person, have children with this person, and now look what happened. And strangely, and I commented on it. I was like, wow, I was like, dude, this is heartbreaking. And it's such a weird thing that in today's society, people like him, we can't criticize them because, we're racist or we're insensitive. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, it's like upside down world where like we
Yeah.
can't call people out for bad decisions or bad behavior.
Well, I don't think it's that we like. Let's even just take away the race part of it.
Yeah, you can. It can go either way.
Yeah. Well. So here's the thing that I was just having this conversation with my cousin last night, where what I think that this is why, dude. I mean, I understand that a lot of people. I understand that this even sounds like I'm in any other fucking year of my life. I would dismiss anything that sounded like a conspiracy of sorts, but I'm positive that people are calculating their message and delivering it us to fucking have an effect on the way we do live our lives. And what I think has happened is they're finding ways to take you out of the conversation. And so basically, when you said like you can't criticize that guy, it's like now we have to accept, like, in other words, before you could say, hey, I don't give a fuck what, like, if that dude was dating my sister, I could say, I don't give a fuck what his history is. Okay. The bottom line is the fucking dude. Well, I mean, I guess I do give a fuck what his history is. The bottom line is I don't want you fucking around with a guy who acts like that or is a criminal or whatever. And that was, you were allowed to be that guy that said, I don't give a fuck what color he is, whatever, but he's this and I don't care. And now it's like, because I think that was a part of the argument that they could lose, that the left would lose. Now they're telling people, like, it goes back to like George Floyd. It's like, you're not allowed to point out that he fucking held a gun to a fucking pregnant woman's stomach and robbed her, because A, you're just not allowed to. So what his history is, and then B, then they've eliminated that part of the conversation because in some way the life he lived was because he's a victim and it was never his fault in the first place. And I'm sorry, that's not how it works. Like, I'm sorry you're a victim. I'm sorry certain things happen, but at some point you need to be fucking responsible for the shit you do, period.
Yeah. Like, and
But do you get what I mean? How it's like they're like in other words, if you're white now, there's only two things you are. You're either blatantly racist or you're racist and you don't know it. And then they tell people certain things like, oh, well, if a white person, they don't realize when they say to you, hey, I have black friends or whatever. It's like all these things that normally someone would have to say. What else are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to say? Like that? Why is that such a bad thing for white people to say, dude, I got black friends? Oh, that's what every white person who doesn't really know they're racist says. So then you say that and you're just taken out of the conversation right away. Oh, here we go again. Somebody's got black friends. I got black friends. Doesn't that mean I'm not racist?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what that means anymore. I mean, of course, normally you would say, of course, like I'm accepting of all people.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. But to kind of go off of that story is, did you hear about now Bill Burr is now canceled?
Well, they can't. Did they? Yes, I seen why he got why he. Well, did he get canceled?
Well, it's who fucking you can't cancel Bill Burr,
but he might lose his Disney. See, I will say this: you can't cancel Bill Burr, but he's in Mandalorian, right?
Yes. So you know what it was all about, right?
The Latina thing or whatever.
Yeah. So he was a presenter at the Grammys. And, he couldn't pronounce the guy's name right and all this. And he was like, well, look, what the fuck am I doing here? So so this is the great part. So if people don't know, Bill Burr is married to a black woman. So this kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying, right? So there was a big tweet that somebody put out that said, while I'm not suggesting Bill Burr is a racist, a white man having a non-white wife can sometimes be a sign of racism. So you shouldn't assume someone isn't racist just because they own a minority sex servant. They may very well have one because they're racist. So his wife, Nia Renee Hill, she replied, and meanwhile, this dude's tweet was liked by fucking thousands and thousands of fucking people. She just retweeted him and said, "Shut the fuck up." And I was like, thank fucking God,
Yeah.
because there's no other way. And ironically, the guy that made the tweet is white. This is what I mean. This is fucking, like, I'm not a big fan of saying about anything about white privilege, but if there is a such thing as white privilege, it's white people on the left making statements like that and telling a black woman that's in love with a white guy that married him that she's a fucking sex servant. You're a fucking lunatic, bro.
Dude,
You
they're the
you should
guilty
be
ones.
you
They're the
should be
fucking guilty ones.
you should be banned off fucking Twitter. Like every one of your friends should come over your fucking house and just slap you in the fucking face
Yeah. Yeah.
for being a little fucking pussy. Like that's what the fuck should happen.
Well, you know, it's funny because I think we've even said we've touched this, but I've never fully said why I don't do it. But I know there's been a couple situations with me and you where I've said something about someone else or whatever, and I'm pretty sure you've said to me like, "Don't they know your girlfriend's black?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember me saying to you, but I'm like, "Yeah, I don't even fuck. I would never." You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think you laughed at me one time because I'm like, that actually means the opposite now to people. And what I've realized is you'll never hear me ever say that to anyone. Even my girlfriend has said to me, like, I've gotten into it with somebody on Facebook one time. It was pretty bad. And I read it to my girlfriend and she got pissed off and was like, don't they fucking know your girlfriend's black? And the thing that makes me laugh is the reason why I would never say that like, this is what I mean. You got to learn their fucking rhetoric, you know, their fucking vocabulary, because I feel that if I was to bring up my girlfriend, like, yo, you know, my girlfriend's black, they've turned that. Like, in other words, I understand that there was a time where a guy would be like, I got a black friend. And it's like, that doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
But now they've turned like just saying, like, this is what I mean, where I think they took the conversation away from like normal fucking people. Because there are normal people out there that would say things like, dude, I got a bunch of fucking black friends. Why that doesn't, how am I fucking racist? Or like we're talking about now, there's a guy out there who's like, I got a fucking black wife and black kids. And for some reason, they're just making sure that they take these fucking people out of the conversation because they're afraid, like by making that guy look racist, any point that he can make, and he'd be in the best position to make it, is now eliminated because they've been told in a fucking white class at work that guy's actually more racist than anybody. So the reason why I never even would bring her into the conversation is because I'm afraid that would turn her into something she isn't. Does that make sense? Like, I'm afraid that by me saying I have a fucking black girlfriend, that then sends the message that not only does that mean that I'm racist or that I'm, you know, whatever, but then it says something derogatory about my girlfriend. So I don't even fucking go there. You know what I mean? Like, I never would, you know? But at the same time, why couldn't I? Why couldn't I be like, how could you call me racist? I got a fucking black girlfriend. What the fuck?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so it's just a fucking scary world we're living in where people, you know, and like I said, it's something I can't grasp, but I'm thinking about it all the time, where when they say those things like trigger words, like, you know, how people say, oh, trigger words, like to the left.
Yeah.
I actually think that those trigger words are like fucking brainwashing words. Like the minute you say Fox News, they go into a trance, like, don't listen to anything this guy says because it's from Fox News.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so then they're getting people to say, like, the minute you hear a guy say, in other words, before I make my point, I might start it by saying, dude, I got black friends, and then go to make my point. But the problem is I got black friends is a trigger word. Boom, the minute you say it, the person's fucking checked out of the conversation and your point will never get through to them because you used a trigger word, you know?
And meanwhile, you probably do overall have more black people in your life that you have friends than they do.
And this is what's scary. No, it's 100% true. And what I told my girlfriend the other day, I told her the other day, I said, you want to know what pisses me off about these fucking people so much? I said, all these fucking white people that are fucking screaming in the middle of the street about racism and da da da. I said, they're the same fucking people. And I'm positive of it. They're the same fucking people that are sitting in their fucking little suburban neighborhoods that are mad because a black person moved next door to them. You know what I mean? Or if they don't actually say that they're black, they're mad. Why do they got to play their music so loud and shit like that? So what I said to my girlfriend is, if those fucking people really wanted to end racism, then stop being fucking racist in your everyday life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there, boom, we're done.
And not only see, and that's a weird thing because not necessarily that they're mad that a black person moved next door, but because of the narratives that they push, it makes the interactions awkward.
Yeah.
So like, let's say your neighbor, you've been fighting, screaming Black Lives Matter, or all of these things, and now the black guy moves next door, or black family, whatever, and you're all excited. Oh, we have diversity. But let's say they're not necessarily good people. Now, that's not to say like I have fucking black neighbors right now that are fantastic, but I've had black neighbors that weren't good people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we've had neighbors that aren't good people.
Exactly.
Sometimes they're black, sometimes they're white, sometimes they're fucking German.
Yeah, like I've had white neighbors that were fucking alcoholics falling down the steps and sleeping on my front porch. Like, the fuck are you doing? But because of that, you know, let's say that neighbor doesn't cut their grass, or their house is fucking sloppy. Now they've made it where, because they're black and because they made up all these excuses why they can't keep up with their property. Now they have this all pent up frustration, and then they're like, well, we're just gonna move.
Yeah.
we're just, we can't, because you can't just have a regular conversation with somebody anymore. Like, and just say, hey man, it's great that you're in the neighborhood and all, but like maybe you want to keep up with the property. Like, that's how we maintain the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so like when I'm saying like eliminate you from the fucking conversation, it's like, put it this way. Your neighbor could live next to you and judge you before for you, right?
Right.
So if you were to talk to your neighbor on the street and say an issue about race was to come up, you might be able to speak from the heart, and it might not be something that he would want to hear from you or something, but he would probably like not see you as, if you said what you just said to me, like, yo, not for nothing, but fucking the guys across the street, I don't care what color they are, blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
Well, this is what I mean about how they took a lot of that conversation away. Now we live in a world where I know Danny. Danny's a good guy. Danny has, like, in other words, think about how I've been taken out of the conversation. I 100% have more black friends than probably some of these fucking people out screaming about fucking BLM and shit. Right. So I have always been able to maintain a good relationship with the people that I am around. And actually, I'm pretty fucking outgoing, and I don't really care if you're black or white or fucking purple or green or brown or whatever. So what has happened now is, instead of judging me for who I am, they created a world where a lot of those friends that I'm talking about, they aren't my best friends in the whole world. I associate with a lot of people and have a lot of really good friends that are of all different races. But now I find myself in a situation where I just get asked a simple question. Do you support BLM? My answer is no. But now the conversation doesn't get to judge me on who I am in my daily life and what I do, like it has been for years. Now, just answering no to that question tells it can actually eliminate ties with friends,
Right.
And so we gotten into a fucking weird place. But actually, to be honest with you, and I think I've been saying it to you, I actually really think that this is just a fucking spike in like a mentality fucking thing. And I think it's not going to last because it's everything that we said before, dude. It's just happening faster than I thought it would. Like, look, you now you guys got the power and shit still ain't fixed. So don't fucking hate me for it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think now that they only have themselves to deal with and they're attacking each other, they're starting to look fucking ludicrous, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one of their kings is about to fall. And
Cuomo.
Cuomo. Yeah, yeah. So,
Well, but
and honestly, like it's such a weird place, man, because look, I'm not a big Cuomo guy. I mean, I think he's probably the Democrat version of Trump, um, personality wise. Uh, and I think this is just a smokescreen, all these allegations to cover up all the things that were going on with the COVID stuff.
well, that's the worst part. It's exactly how gross the left is if he's going down because of even when if he actually gets kicked out of office, it's going to be because of the nursing home shit. However, if he was to go down for the nursing home shit and that was the story, then that would cause people to reflect on shit that Trump and conservatives have said about him when they called them out for it months ago. So this is just another, they're actually turning this situation into one where he leaves and the Democrats look good because they told him to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even it's so weird to me. Like even like a lot of these allegations are kind of like, even though I'm not a fan of Cuomo's, and it's not, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over that guy losing his career. Some of the allegations are a little bit strange to me. Like it's like people, like women saying like he made me feel uncomfortable. It's like, look, if you got raped, if he forced himself upon you, things like that, even like touching inappropriately, I think you got a legitimate gripe.
Yeah.
But like when people start saying like, well, he made like awkward jokes or said some things, I don't know, man. Like it's a really, really weird thing to me, man, because I'm like, I've said this before and nobody's gonna have any fucking sympathy for a fucking guy. But I've had chicks say shit to me, like even fucking, you know, leftist fucking hardcore fucking liberals with pronouns in their fucking profile say shit to me like about like sexual shit and like, oh, when are you gonna marry me? Like in front of people, and it's like awkward for me, and it's like, oh, like because it's like, look, I'm not attracted to you at all. Like that's never gonna fucking happen. But like it makes me, but like I would never be like she's a fucking sexual predator or like call her out on making me feel uncomfortable. Like that's just part of certain humans are fucking awkward. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like certain humans are just like they don't know how to conduct themselves. And to sit there and say like this person, like I don't know that he's on the level of Harvey Weinstein. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that he's on the level of like a serial fucking rapist or like it's like this weird thing and people on the right now are like really really like pushing for it and I'm like
Yeah. Well,
well,
I hate the right people like that too. I
because
hate
I'm
that.
like I'm like look, like I don't care about this guy either, but we have to maintain like some balance here and we have to kind of be able to recognize between rape and some awkward comments.
Well, they had a lawyer. See, I have, of course, the right keeps pushing for him to be down, but I do see the story more be in. I was thinking it was Glenn Beck or something. They had a lawyer on, and just to prove exactly what you're saying, the lawyer said that what people don't understand is that even when I think one of them came out recently and said he touched her. That's the only one but I don't even, I mean, that doesn't mean it's true. But what the lawyer said is not one of the cases that Cuomo has against him, like not one of these allegations they're not even like things that get you in trouble. Like
Right,
he
right.
would not get in trouble if they took him to court and said he said this or that. Like he might look like an asshole, but none of that shit would cause him to be like, he didn't do anything illegal or whatever that he couldn't have done or whatever. So
Right.
basically that's where the theory of like, this is all bullshit,
Yeah, and here's the thing. Again, when it comes to the cover up with Corona, the way they handled that and all, I say go all in, and like that needs to be uncovered. With these allegations, sure, like they should be looked into and examined and see if there's anything deeper, of course. But it's kind of like, we have to be careful, and it's just such a dangerous, like, and that's why it kind of makes me a little bit skeptical of people on the right. Although I get it, because people on the left were screaming about people like Trump, you know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
said, things that he said, and it's like, and even the guy, what was the fucking guy that's on the Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh. It's just a very, very weird thing. And then people, just all these voices and all these gangs gang up on social media, and they're like, fire him, and it's just wild, man. It's so wild.
Well, when I said that there's so much I was thinking about with like now that you're mentioning Cuomo, the one thing that because we've been away for enough that like every time I'm thinking about a topic, it's gone by 3 days.
Yeah, yeah.
And one thing I wanted to bring up was, don't you remember our conversation about Harvey Weinstein where I brought up Kesha, right? It's not about Kesha, but do you remember that podcast?
Yes. Yeah.
So remember I said that what I think is fucked up about the real problem with sexual harassment is that, for example, when I said about Harvey Weinstein was no longer powerful. And then all of a sudden, because he was no longer powerful, it just started, more and more people were like, yeah, that guy tried to fuck me 10 years. But 10 years ago, when he was powerful, they didn't say shit. So what I think also sucks is that it seems like, as much as we like it's almost like they like to highlight certain situations like the Harvey Weinstein one. But meanwhile, just like you said about girls hitting you up in your fucking DMs and shit, it's like when, like, it's going on everywhere right now. There's fucking 10 bars where the bartender only has the fucking job because the manager's fucking her, and he's probably a gropey pig who fucking tries to bang every fucking new bartender, but they all want to shift, so you never hear about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, that's a little crazy, but what I basically mean by this is, so Cuomo, when did Cuomo, like, let's just forget the fact that it's a possibility that it's like a kind of a cover up thing. So Cuomo couldn't be touched for years. He couldn't be touched. When you're listening to these stories now, it's people saying, "Oh, he's the worst. He always was a bully. He always would fucking treat people like he would destroy them if they went against him." And the only reason, like, it looks like a victory, like, yeah, they took down Cuomo, but they only went at him because he was at his weakest. Like we both just said that he's probably really getting kicked out because of the nursing home scandal. So the nursing home scandal came out first, and then he became weak. And so it's like, we're taking him. Now all of a sudden there's all these sexual harassment shit coming out, which may be very true. And he may deservingly so get in trouble for them, let's say. But I guess what I'm saying is, if he was still powerful, he'd still get away with it. You know what I'm saying? If he was still where he was a year ago, there wouldn't be allegations because they would fear the power of him. So I kind of see this kind of fucking negative, not a negative effect, but it's like a guy who no longer has power is being ousted or being pushed down a little lower because of what he did when he had power. But it's like, the people that need to be taken down are the ones that are in fucking power doing it right now, you know?
Yeah. It's wild times, man. There's a lot of things that are happening that every day, you hear a new story and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I just, the majority of news that I ingest over social media or hear on TV or whatever, I just can't even wrap my head around. And I don't know how more people aren't, I'm not saying waking up in a sense of like going to the right. I don't understand how more people aren't waking up in a sense and just saying right or left. There's so much shit that doesn't make fucking sense. Like,
Yeah.
I just have no trust in the system, but people are still really entrenched. I mean, there was just the Washington Post just came out and admitted that they got the story wrong about Trump, about the phone call where to Georgia, where he was saying you need to find voter fraud. Like they just came out and said, "Oh, we made a mistake on that. That wasn't true."
Well, even better too. To be honest with you, they went into so much detail into that retraction where it almost did you read Trump's? So Trump's been making statements. Have you seen any of these from his website?
No, I haven't.
Well, today or whatever, whenever that came out, was it yesterday? So I actually really like that retraction because that retraction kind of takes away a big narrative. And I think it gave Trump a moment to be able to go back to fucking being himself about how he feels about shit. And he wrote then a big statement about that retraction and then wrote like another paragraph about how there was fraud, there is fraud, and I'm not going to fucking stop until I fucking prove that there was fraud, you know? And the thing that sucks about that retraction is this is what people don't understand, okay? Half of what you're still arguing with me about is because of that fucking the people that I argue with on a daily basis won't even really comprehend what that retraction means. But yet these are people who have tried to convince me that Trump tried to steal the election. And did I hear that phone call? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then the worst part was, did you ever listen to that whole phone call when it first came out?
No, not really.
Well, here's something that I didn't know about that retraction because it didn't make sense to me because I thought, why is this a new story? Because originally when that phone call came out, the problem was that they edited it down to like 30 seconds and they only played 30 seconds. But I listened to the whole hour-long phone call and thought that was the full phone call. And even by listening to that, it kind of shows that statement wasn't true. But this is the part that drives me fucking crazy that people don't understand of when they say things about voter fraud and stuff like you're crazy. That apparently, like very recently, there was some type of investigation. And the reason why Washington Post had to now, or Washington Times needed to make that retraction now was because they found the actual full 100% completely full phone call in the fucking trash bin on someone's computer that they were investigating in Georgia. So one of the big fucking people in Georgia that are a political fucking something, they were being investigated and somebody found. So when I listened to the hour-long phone call and thought it was the real one, no, there was an hour and a half long phone call where he actually said that I'm not trying to fucking get you to do anything illegal and shit. So right. That's why they had to retract it. But I guess the point I'm making with that is some fucking body purposely fucking tried to get rid of that full phone call to cover some bullshit up. Right. Like it's fucking bullshit, dude. But anyway, on another angle too, because I might have got a little fired up on that. But I actually think that it's such a great feeling to not feel that it's my job to try and fucking force anybody to fucking understand anything anymore. And they just sit back because they're all learning it on their own. It just sucks that it has to be this type of process. But I mean, like fucking, I really think that where Trump is a bad thing is it's another trigger word, dude. You add Trump to the mix. So if you start trying to defend someone's tweet by basing it against like, oh, he can tweet this, but Trump can't, they overlook the tweet of the fucking person and just fucking tell you how bad Trump is. And now that Trump's out of the picture and you're not the one fucking trying to tell them about it, they will, once it affects them, they'll fucking learn, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's just one thing that, with this latest report from the Washington Post on that phone call, it's just one of those things where I don't understand how people can't see things like that, whether or not they actually are or not, if it's being reported on CNN or MSNBC, who knows? But I don't know how you can't look at that and still not like Trump, but look at it and say, well, that's weird. Like, why is that happening? Why is the media manipulating information that we're supposed to get? You know what I'm saying? And that's not supposed to like that's not me saying like, oh, see, look, Trump should have won, or Trump's not this bad guy. I'm just saying, I don't know how you can't look at these types of stories and saying something fishy is going on.
Yeah.
And it's not that the right doesn't do it either, because they absolutely do. But it's just, it's more prevalent, I feel like, on the left because of the power and the influence they have over social media, regular news outlets, all of that stuff. So it's not as, I don't, it's just not as common, but it's not like, I don't know. I'm to the point now where, I just showed you the video of Sarah Silverman, and she had a little bit of a breakdown, about, like, she was like, my party, as a progressive, like, it's just this fucking elitist attitude, like, and holier than thou, and there's no room for error, and there's no way to move, like, because we're not having real conversations anymore, so we're not making real progress.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just don't even want to have a part of any party anymore. And and I really appreciated that video, because she said, look, if the right, if AOC comes out and says something that she's right about, the right may agree with it, but because she said it, they won't go along with it. And she goes, but to be fair, as a progressive, if a Republican says something, it internally feels sketchy to me. Like, it automatically. So she's recognizing the fact that, we all have these biases, and we all have these like internal reactions, and like visceral, like just gut, like, spur of the moment, and she's right, because if AOC does say something, like, there's been a few times where I'm like, she's right. I agree with her, very rarely, but, but it really made me happy to see Sarah Silverman come out and see that, because it really is, it is a huge reason why there's so much divide in this country. And that her able to see that, as big as a Bernie guy that she was, as a progressive that she considers herself, if she can see that, that kind of gives me a little hope for more and more people. And that's not to say, like, again, it's not to say for people to turn right wing, it's just, hopefully people can start to call out their own parties more often, and they're like, and just show, like, when whether you're right or left leaning, like, look, let's not bullshit. Like, we got to call this out.
Yeah. Well, she also, see, first off, I agree with everything you said about it. One thing that I had another thought from it, though, was, you remember when she says they come with too much baggage? These parties come with too much baggage. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
right.
what I also thought about, and I thought about asking you this on here, is like, I'm not a fucking Republican. I'm not arguing with her, because I agree with what she said about AOC and X, Y, and Z. But what I started to think was, here's the thing. I generally thought I was a guy on the left, but I also will admit that I was never as much involved as I became when, like, never in a million years did I think I would vote Republican. But I can't sit here and tell you because I knew everything. And, like, in other words, I definitely would have, if this would have been 10 years, I don't know who I'd have voted for with Trump in the mix, but I voted for Obama. I mean, I would have voted for Obama 100%. I would have never voted for a Republican up until Trump.
Yeah.
And the thing is I only know what I know about politics from what I've watched in the past 4 years. So when she mentions that they come with baggage, right? So I understand that probably, when Bush was in office, there were probably fights that the right and the left had, whatever. But honestly, if I align myself with Trump, you know what I mean? It's like when Trump ran a bunch of Republicans said shit about him, and I hated them. The only thing that happened to me with the Republicans was I slowly began to like Ted Cruz when I used to not like him. I started to see certain individuals like Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan and certain congressmen right now, Josh Hawley and Governor DeSantis. These are people that, like, I went into a party where I was like, I like Trump. I like what he's doing. And I always saw Trump as an outsider, even in the Republican Party. So when Sarah Silverman says that story about they come with baggage, there's one thing I didn't like that she said, but I also agree with her with the baggage. And I could see how my reaction to her was exactly what she was saying, where I make a point, and if I'm making it to a certain person and they know I'm Republican, me saying that, somebody might say to me, oh yeah, what about when they did this with George W. Bush? Look, I'm not making I haven't been let down on the hypocrisy yet. Like when she said AOC will say something and somebody won't agree with it. AOC said the thing about GameStop. Ted Cruz said, I'll fucking agree. She said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is I've only been here for this amount of time. So don't judge me by the baggage of the party that I now support. And I also don't agree with everything that they do. However, in her statement, what I will say that justifies more my stance is, look, I agree with what she's saying. However, I don't like people in the Republican Party that seem to be just aligned with the GOP. I've only seen this mass hysteria against Trump and the hypocrisy against Trump. Moving forward, if I start to see hypocrisy within my own fucking party, I'm not going to fucking like it either. But I don't like the fact that people will make statements about Republicans from fucking 15 years ago and what they did when I don't give a fuck. I liked what Trump was doing, period. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, so where I'm kind of arguing with her, but then at the same time, it's reiterating her point is that's the baggage. That's the baggage. When she said they come with baggage, it's like I'm stepping into a conversation and then I'm being immediately fucking, argued against or whatever based on shit that happened in a time when I didn't represent that party anyway. Right. So that's the baggage that they come with, but I love the Sarah Silverman video because this is what we need. We don't need people to say like Trump. Nobody wants you to like Trump. I don't give a fuck if you don't like Trump. That's great. But I just want you to see what's going on. And even if it's within your own party, be a Democrat, vote for somebody else. But these people that think Nancy Pelosi is a fucking anything but a fucking lunatic are insane.
Yeah, man. There's more than just Nancy Pelosi that are fucking insane.
Yeah.
But who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe Meghan Markle will be the next outsider that we have coming in. And, just when I thought I was gonna not when I said, "Oh man, maybe I should take a breath from that rant," then you mentioned this bitch. Well, if people don't know, obviously, the Meghan Markle and Harry made some news recently over their interview with Oprah, where there was a lot of controversial things that happened. But there's a new report saying that the Democrats are grooming Meghan for a potential presidential run, which is, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people, voted for Trump because he was an outsider. So maybe they're thinking, well, here's an outsider that's not a politician. But the problem is that they're already grooming her for it. It's kind of like the Oprah Winfrey episode was the entrance into the main stage. The actress is on the floor. She's on the main stage now. So I don't know. Meghan Markle's hot. She's got that going on for her.
But this is the thing. A lot of people voted for Trump because he's an outsider, but at the same time, it was like Well, he's a, like, people could argue it, but he was a successful businessman.
Yeah.
Meghan Markle, I'm not, dude, I'm not even attacking her. Like, she could be smart, she could be whatever, but
she's a failed actress.
she's a failed actress who married a fucking ugly ginger who happened to be fucking a prince.
Yeah, she married up.
And she destroyed it.
Yeah, she married up, pretended like, that wasn't her goal. Like, I don't know, Harry. He could be he might have a fucking 12-inch fucking a giant cock. He could has a giant heart with an amazing personality. He's fucking, he's got humor like Chris Rock. I don't know. He might be the perfect man. Who knows? But it certainly helps that he's a fucking prince. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, and to say that, she kind of acted like, the living the royal life was difficult, which I'm sure it comes with complications. I'm sure there's a lot that's expected from you. You know what I mean? Coming from America, where you can come and say and do whatever the fuck you want, and then marrying into that, I'm sure it does. It's a little strange. It's a culture shock. But I don't really have much sympathy that you married into a royal family and now you're worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm sorry, I just don't. And again, I know she talked about some mental health and she was suicidal, and that is horrible. I didn't listen to the whole interview, so I don't know exactly what brought on the suicidal thoughts or whatever. Maybe it was the complications of living in the royal family, all these things. I don't know. And whatever it is, like, I don't think that's something to joke about. Like, suicidal, depression, all those things are horrible. But sometimes I also think that there are some, you kind of contradict yourself when you're saying, like, I want to kind of get away from the limelight and the spotlight.
And you're on Oprah.
And you're in an interview with Oprah.
Yeah.
And, and I think it's a little bit dangerous to go on and say there were like racial undertones, which I'm probably sure that maybe some extremely old fucking British people who generations have kept banging their brothers and sisters and mothers and uncles and brothers, whatever. I'm sure, yeah, they probably maybe made some awkward comments. But to kind of go on national TV during the climate that we're in now, to just make accusations and then say, well, I don't really want to say who said it, I think it's irresponsible. And I think the real reason that you did that is to put you back in the spotlight. And there's no other, it's not to say that whatever comments were or were not made were okay. But again, like the comment that she said that her baby, they were concerned about how dark the baby was going to be. First of all, I didn't even know fucking Meghan Markle was black. She's as light skinned as they come. And Harry's fucking as pale as I don't even know. Like
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. So it would be crazy to think that the baby's going to come out, looking like dark as night. I don't know, but it's just wild to me. But again, I just think it's just one of those. This is a Jussie Smollett moment.
Well, like Piers Morgan got, I'm not going to get into the Piers Morgan thing, but he was canceled for criticizing. Well, the one thing that Piers Morgan, I don't know if I don't really have any opinion of Piers Morgan. I kind of thought he was an asshole. Maybe he's not an asshole. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the thing I liked that he said was, which was true. He's like, then say it. Who said it? You're going to make an allegation like that. Say it. Because the fucked up part is it could have been like the busboy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so what he pointed out is most times when you don't say it, it's because the impact of not saying it makes a bigger impact than saying who fucking said it,
Right.
And in its own way, this is what I mean about the left now destroying themselves, because the UK has been aligned with the kind of BLM shit and the not liking Trump stuff and, whatever.
Yeah.
And now in an instant, they are a racist fucking king and queen and whatever you call it, the monarchy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so, like, in other words, imagine you're the queen who's been like supporting all this shit and all, and now the same kind of bullshit that got Trump to look like an asshole. Now you look like a fucking asshole. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now maybe all that fucking shit that you were supporting. So this is what people mean when they say the fucking, it's my favorite line now. An appeaser is one who feeds the crocodile first, hoping it will eat him last. Because there you go. I'm seeing it. So it's almost now. It's my TV show now. Like just watching all this bullshit, and I get to be like, there you go, whatever. I do get a little fucking frustrated when people don't see it, like you said earlier. Like, how do you not see it? You know, how do you not see not that this means Trump's good, but how do you not see that this means the media lies? That's all I want you to see. I don't want you to fucking like Trump. I want you to see that the media lies. Like it's, you shouldn't take everything they say, at fucking without doing a little bit of research yourself.
Yeah, and not only that, the media lies, but people like Meghan Markle, people that are in positions and in powerful that are looking to gain power, they lie as well. I'm not saying that she's necessarily lying. I don't know, and I'm not defending the royals. I mean, they could be racist pieces of shit. I have no idea. I have no clue. But it's almost like, like during the Super Bowl when Tom Brady, one of the players, got into an argument. They were mad that they were losing to Tom Brady. They made a comment that they were insinuating that Tom Brady used a racial slur. They asked him what words were exchanged, and he was like, I would just rather not say it. He tweeted it out. So it caused a firestorm. People were like, oh, what the fuck did he say? Well, what's going on? What did and there were a few ex-NFL players that were like, whoa, we know exactly what you're doing here. You're insinuating, you're putting it out there in people's minds that he could have said something racist. Now, luckily for Tom Brady, he was mic'd up. And once the guy found out, Tyrann Matthew, whatever, on the Bucks,
I didn't even hear this.
On Kansas City. Yeah, on Kansas City. Once he found out Tom Brady was mic'd up, he deleted the tweet. And then Michael Irvin was on the NFL Network, and he was like, I heard the tape, because the NFL was like, we're not releasing it. That's not what we do. Michael Irvin said, I can confirm. I heard the tape. He didn't say anything racist. But because that dude was butthurt that he lost, because he was butthurt that Tom Brady got in his face, he's just going to throw that out there, because then Tom Brady is the villain.
Yeah.
And he can capitalize off, now it's like, oh, now he's going to go on TV and be, everybody's going to feel bad for him because Tom Brady said something racist. And it just wasn't true.
And I think going back to something you said earlier, it's like from what we're seeing in the media, it's like and then talking about Meghan Markle and shit, it's like that's the way to take. In other words, just put in other words, now you can just insinuate that and it's immediately accepted because it's become it's like the easy fucking way to get a head up now,
Well, it's just nonsense. It's not normal behavior. And again, it's just people that just want the attention on themselves. So and again, maybe what she had to say was real, was true. But if you're not going to drop bombs and just let people know exactly who said it and what was said, like all the, incidents that maybe you came across, then what's the point of bringing it up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your life, regardless of look, I'll tell you right now, if I had to deal with some fucking shitty in-laws, but now I'm worth millions and millions of dollars, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Sign me the fuck up.
Well,
they can call me a fucking Irish fucking prick and fucking whatever all day long. I don't care. I'm laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah. Well, this is another thing too, though. When have you ever been so pissed off by something somebody called you? Especially, like, imagine this guy's in the NFL, right? So he's probably seen it all, heard it all, I'm sure he's got a little bit of thick skin, So when in your life has somebody ever said something that pissed you off? The only time, just to ask the question, when in your life has somebody ever said anything so bad to you that you got so enraged that you told everyone that someone said something bad to you, but then you refused to say what it was?
Yeah.
And the only time I've ever heard somebody do that would be like when someone's saying, I don't even want to tell you what it was, but then when you find out what it was like they called someone out on something they did, you know? Like, I don't want to tell you because the person just accused me of stealing something from them last week, and I did. You know what I mean? Like,
it would be like if you and I had a falling out and the podcast fell apart and everything. And then people are like, what happened? I'm like, dude, fucking Danny did all this shit to me, dude. I can't fucking believe all this shit happened, but I don't want to tell you about it.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Like like
Yeah.
why? Like what the fuck you bring up? Be like, I could just be like, we had disagreement, whatever, just didn't work out.
Do you remember what Trump said about Meghan Markle at a press conference?
I did see a clip where he was like, Harry's a nice guy, whatever.
But it was real quick. So them two decided. So I don't know if you know this, but it's something against the monarchy that they're actually not allowed to, like, they can't, it would almost be, it's like if you know, I could be a little wrong on this because maybe there's a little bit more stricter guidelines to it, but basically the king and queen of England are not supposed to fucking say who they like in an election. You know what I mean? But because Meghan Markle had stepped outside of the monarch or whatever, she was able, so that it's really uncouth for them to get involved in other countries' politics. However, Meghan Markle and Harry endorsed Biden, right? Mm-hmm. So they asked Trump, hey, how do you feel about whatever? And he said, well, look, I don't like her. I'm pretty sure she knows that. And as far as Harry goes, good luck, because he's going to need it.
Dude, and here's the other thing too. I mean, we talked about this before. It always seems like, you know, like Cuomo, for instance, he was a huge, you know, Trump like hater. You know what I mean? He always was extremely critical of Trump and the way he was handling everything. And we talked about this before. It's usually the people that are screaming the loudest out against racism, out against policies, political. It's usually those people that have maybe something to cover up.
Yeah.
And isn't it kind of weird that Meghan Markle was upset about a comment made by, you know, the baby's skin tone, but the husband that she married was at a Halloween party years ago in Nazi uniform, like joking about it. But dude, but I guess, and listen, I'm not like, hey, look, man, I think that's a bad look. It's not something I've ever done. It's probably not the best Halloween costume idea. But you have to look at it from his perspective. He's a royal. He's a prince. He's probably like, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Yeah, that's a big move.
It is. It's bold, but he's probably, I mean, you got to think he's probably a little bit arrogant.
If anybody's got that white privilege, it will be him.
It's probably one of those people that are like, hey, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking royal. So I'm not saying that I'm sure that he recognizes that it was wrong. But again, it's just kind of weird that's how that played out. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like what I actually do to just look at it from like a regular, like forget politics, forget whatever. I've said this to my girlfriend about Meghan Markle when she left the royal family or whatever. Dude, Harry is in a relationship with a cunt. Like he's in a relationship with a girl and he's so fucking thwarted by her that he fucking left. Like she's going to leave him. She's going to fucking leave him. Just watch. And that, I think another thing that's happening in the world because of the way things are changing. And I'm not actually saying, like, I don't know, because maybe at one time, like if you look at Princess Diana, she was so vilified for stepping outside of the royal family that it eventually led to her death. So I'm not justifying that people should be less like Princess Diana, let's say. I mean, but I'm just showing the two contrast where, see, we live in a world now where it actually is the most, like, there was a time where it's like, you know, if you were Kennedy's wife, I think Onassis went on to like remarry or whatever. But like we expected her to always stay John Kennedy's wife, even after he died. So let's just say if there was a woman who was married to a president, like you would never leave while he's the president because that would be like kind of fucked up, right? But now we live in a world where if you leave, like that's why I actually give Trump credit, but I still think it's actually going to happen. We all know that Trump has impressed me a little bit because I think there's a possibility that Melania actually fucking likes him. But I mean, he's a rich old man who married a fucking model. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now I actually thought it was going to happen during his presidency, and I still think it might happen. But again, it's showing me how Trump might be a different kind of guy. Dude, if Melania Trump left Trump right now, she would be a fucking superstar.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the world we live in now where what Meghan Markle did was not hard. Like, in other words, it would have been hard 30 years ago, but Meghan Markle listen, if Meghan Markle would have stayed married and just stayed over there, nobody gave a fuck. Nobody gave a fuck about it. It was interesting. Oh, she married Harry, the ugly guy. Great. Oh, now she's a princess. Good for her. She's actually 3 million times more important by leaving. So she actually made a smart move. However, I think that Harry's a fucking idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's his family. I mean, it's his family that she's trashing along with himself. And again, there were multiple reports that she was not a nice person. There were reports within the servants and the help from the house. Now I don't really know all the details because I just don't follow that stuff. But just hearing little clips and little pieces through other people that have talked about it have said that there were multiple reports that she was not kind to the help. There was issues that she had with the other chick, the other brother.
Yeah. I forget her name too. Catherine or something.
I don't remember, but there was a clash between them over like the wedding and dresses and all this crap. And people weren't happy with the way Meghan reacted. So this is also a way for her to say, well, no, it's a way for her to say, yeah, maybe I was a bitch, but look, now I feel sympathy for me because that washes away anything that she's ever done. It just absolves her of her sins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
well, see, I think someone like her, I mean, this is the same kind of, we're staying on Meghan Markle, but yeah, your point is definitely, it's a way to say like, fucking, it was them, not me,
Right.
But what I, just to sum up to what I was saying about the kind of person she is, here's the deal. It's the epitome of what I think of the left, right? They're never happy. Right? They're never happy. When you keep appeasing these people that are never happy, I use it, for example, like on people at work. It's like you come in, your bartender is, let's just use as like, I guess, a metaphor or an analogy. She's a leftist, right? So she works with me. So the manager comes in, what's wrong? Why are you fucking doing a shitty job today? She blames something on me. He's always breathing down my neck, or he's a fucking guy, or he's racist, whatever the fuck it is. So then I get fired. Then you come back in the next day. She's not fucking happy again. What's wrong? Oh, it's this fucking waitress. Okay, the waitress is fired. The next day, she's still fucking unhappy. The regional manager comes in. Why are you unhappy? Oh, now the manager that just fired 2 people to please her, she's saying that manager is a fucking problem. And so it's just like it never ends. Well, with Meghan, it's like she was in a fucking show. The show sucked. She got fired or it got canceled. Now she's irrelevant. Okay. She marries a fucking prince. Now she's fucking relevant, but she still ain't fucking happy. Now she divorces breaks up from the family. Oh, now she's relevant again, but now she's still not fucking happy. So it just keeps getting smaller and smaller. And I'm telling you right now, she's not going to live happily ever after with fucking Prince Harry. So I can't wait until she becomes irrelevant again. And then she breaks up with Prince Harry. And I want to see where fucking Prince Harry ends up.
He might put on his Nazi uniform again. I don't know. if she breaks up with him, he might go back to his Nazi costume.
He should have wore it to her fucking wedding. They should just
Yeah.
make him wear it when she breaks up. But like, you can only come back if you wear your Nazi uniform.
And then Harry would be like, "Okay, I'll do." But I think maybe because that's another reason why he can get away with things because he has a British accent.
Oh yeah, you love them British accents.
I do. I'm a sucker for a British accent. I feel like they can get away with a lot more because they sound nice.
Fuckers.
They sound more, a lot more nicer than we do.
But even though we're probably getting to the end of it, but I did want to just point out one other thing I wanted your opinion on. Well, another thing I've been noticing, I noticed it when you remember when Animal Crackers took like some fucking stupid thing off the cover of the Animal Cracker box?
No.
I forget what it was, but they took a character off of the fucking front. They said it was I forget what it was. I forget what character it was. But anyway, what I started to realize is that there are definitely some of these things that get canned that even if they're questionable, I can see it. Like the Land O'Lakes Indian. I don't agree with that one, but all right, maybe it's just not cool to exploit an Indian. I get it. But I noticed every once in a while, an irrelevant ass company comes out with an irrelevant product and they become relevant again. So like, in other words, when Animal Crackers did it, I was like, who the fuck's eating Animal Crackers? Right. But then all of a sudden Animal Crackers was a huge topic again. So I think like with the Mr. Potato Head thing, who the fuck buys Mr. Potato Head anymore? But I can guarantee you when they make that fucking first transgender Mr. Potato Head, it's going to fucking be skyrocketing sales. So I think some of this fucking canceling stuff is actually a weird reverse psychology way to revive something that's dying.
That's a marketing ploy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like fucking.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I guess we're getting to that time, but there was one thing that I thought was interesting, and I don't really know. It was somebody's spin on all these cancellations. They were like, they were claiming they were like the leftists are the real racist. They were like, look, go to your grocery store. You're not seeing Uncle Ben anymore. You're not seeing Aunt Jemima. You're not seeing an Indian. You're not seeing any black.
That's actually kind of fucking funny. Yeah.
You're not seeing any black face you're not seeing Washington Redskins. You're not seeing any minority or anything other than white people now.
Yeah. Like they just want to,
like they just wiped them all out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I would think that's a good thing, right? I mean, we're seeing it like.
Well, no, wait. Be careful what you say. It's not a good thing. It's a good thing if you're a racist white lefty.
No, I'm saying I didn't understand canceling Uncle Ben or Aunt Jemima, especially because there was a little bit of history that I didn't know about Aunt Jemima, that apparently it was a black comedian that started it. And so there were like elements it was all black people that kind of came up with the idea. Like,
no, I was going to say it to you, but then I was like, I didn't know if you wanted to be bored, but because you're bringing it up, I know that, dude, what's so great is when they started all this cancel culture shit. I talked about this a little bit on the podcast in one of our very first ones, because Aunt Jemima just got taken out. Dude, a year before she got taken out, I was in the grocery store and I said to my girlfriend, I don't know how that's still there. It's so fucking, there's a racist element to it. But then I made her watch a documentary like Aunt Jemima and stuff. And I learned a little bit that I didn't know, because I thought it was kind of racist. Dude, it was a woman who fucking was actually like a mammy, like a fucking house person. Right.
Yeah, right.
And she started making basically the actual Aunt Jemima was like a marketing genius and an amazing businesswoman who was actually looked like the Aunt Jemima lady.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle, there was a comedian involved, and then because Aunt Jemima was long gone and stuff. Yeah. But like, I don't know Uncle Ben's fucking rice history or anything, but that's what the problem is with the left is they don't care about the history of things. So we've talked about this before too, where I said the left is like, in other words, 20 years ago, people fought for a wall, and the wall did its job. And then 20 years later, when those problems are gone, the left looks at the wall and says, That's mean. Get it out of here. And then the Republicans are running saying, no, you don't understand what'll happen, you know? And so it's the same thing like with Aunt Jemima. It's like there's actually real fucking history there, but they see it and they go, that's racist. And that's it. There's no fucking, who cares what the history is? And where Aunt Jemima company might have been wrong in the progression of Aunt Jemima is tell that there's a wonderful story there. You know, there's a wonderful, real, iconic Black story behind Aunt Jemima. But that's it, babe. She's gone. She's gone now.
Yeah, she's no more.
Man. Well, last little thing I wanted to say too, just a simple thing. I think you'll like it. There was a congressman talking about Republicans. So the same way we always try to say how it's hard for conservatives to kind of get their side across, a guy, one of them broke it down in a great analogy. He said, it's basically like they're selling he said, he made like a dentist reference. And he said, here's the problem. The left is selling candy and donuts and we're selling drills and fucking toothpaste. I was like, that's fucking genius.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good to get back around things. Hopefully we'll have some more guests on, so you don't always have to hear me and Danny rant.
Well, it was good to have a little rant though. We haven't done it in a minute.
Yeah. A quick story. I listened to a great podcast with Bridget Fedesi. She's a comedian. I've talked about her podcast. I thought she thinks she's great. She had this guy on there, Jeff Charles. He has a Instagram page, Jeff on the right. He's a contributor for redstate.com. He has a video. Check out my video about Black voices in the GOP. I thought everything he said was excellent. He even talked about reparations and how he was always against it, but now he's kind of coming around to how it could potentially work. Although he didn't really elaborate, and he's like, I'm not smart enough to really go into it. He's like, but I do think there are maybe some ways that we can, and just in the way he phrased it, I was like, okay, maybe I could see where he's going. But again, he didn't go too far into it. Wrote him, tried to get him into the podcast. I was stalking his Instagram, and in the meantime, I was looking pictures of his kids by accident. So I wrote him and asked him to come on, but since he probably thinks I'm a creeper, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, with that being said, too, anyone that's listening out there, tell us what you think, because we wonder if somebody's on your Instagram and they just like a picture of just your kid, just a solo image of your kid, and you get a like from someone you don't know or something. Is that creepy?
That's a little creepy. Even if it's like a 40-week-old pic and it's just a random like.
Dude,
But dude, I'm kind of sloppy. Like, I was actually driving in my car. I was excited because I was listening. I'm like, oh, maybe we can have this guy on. He got back to me. He said, yeah, that was me on the podcast. And I went on his page and I'm like scrolling up and I was like, boom, hit a like button. And it was just a random picture of his son. I'm like, shit. I'm like, do I unlike this?
You can't unlike. You can't do that because it's worse.
Yeah, and I've already done that to some people, and I'm like, oh shit! Like it's like I've inboxed people, and then I'm like, then I delete it, and I'm like, oh shit! I didn't know that they could see that they deleted it, and I'm like, oh fuck! I look like a fucking jerk.
Dude, but you actually inspired me after that though, because now I want to just like, dude, I just want to like randomly. Like anytime I scroll through now, like a random person's profile and they just have a picture of their kid, I'm just going to comment. I'm going to like it. I'm going to comment underneath. I like your kid.
Well, dude, you should actually follow the guy, ask him to come on and just go like that picture of his son. And then
I'll write him a message. And then at the very end of the message, I'll write another message and I'll go, by the way, great kid.
Yeah. And anybody that's listening and following us, you should just go like this guy's
kid. Everyone go like this guy's kid.
And then tell him to come on the podcast. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
It's like fucked up, but I'm like, it's funny.
But it is, yeah, it's a weird thing, man, because I get it when you told me that. It's like you can get into this thing, whether it be someone's kid or something, man, like liking a picture by accident and then frantically unliking it and then realizing you did the worst thing possible.
Dude,
It's horrible.
I was like, oh fuck, man. I was like really excited that maybe that he got back to me and maybe potentially have this guy on, and he hasn't got back to me. So it's like the story of my love life too. I
like their kid.
I just like random old pictures, and then they're like, this dude's a fucking creeper.
Dude, I go through them random old pictures. I want to see what you used to look like, what you're gonna look like. I want to see mom. I want to see the kid, what kind of fucking birth bearing genes you got. So, Tom, are you getting the vaccine?
No.
How do we not get it? We got to make sure we don't get it. I'm so scared my job's going to make me get it.
There's
conversation for another time, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. but yeah, social media is, that's fucking like an old shit. I don't know. I'm fucking weird like that.
Yeah, I would I would like to we need we've had some guests and we need more guests, and all the guests we've had have been wonderful, but I really want a political guest. I want somebody who is a politics guy. Like, we like to, we engage in it, but I want somebody who fucking knows their politics shit,
Yeah.
Has a different take on it.
That would be great. And I also just watched a few movie recommendations as we're talking about Netflix. I mentioned to you there was a movie that came out. It's called I Care a Lot. It's on Netflix. I don't know if I mentioned it on last one. I don't know. But Joe Rogan actually retweeted it, and I was like, look at that. It was a pretty good movie. I mean, so if you're looking for something to watch, check that out. Another guest that hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers, I haven't wrote to him yet. But it was he's a psychologist, and he conducted the Stanford prison experiment in the 70s. So I don't know. The dude's 87 years old. Apparently he's still writing books and still teaching. So I don't know. I don't know if he has an Instagram where I can go on and like some of his fucking old pictures of his kids and shit and maybe get him to come on, but we'll see if that works. A little psychological experiment.
Yeah.
All of our guests we want to have, if we can like all their kids' pictures or whatever.
Yeah, dude, guys, you got to go to that guy's page and just like his kid. That's going to be great.
I'll just, or I should just go on his page and like every picture he posted. So he has notifications of me liking like 6,000 of his pictures or whatever.
Dude, I don't know why that this is making me laugh so much in my own head, but I'm just picturing, like, could you imagine if you had an Instagram and you're like, man, I've only got 200 followers. You're barely getting any attention on anything. And then all of a sudden you get like fucking 500,000 likes on a picture of just your kid.
Yeah, that would be fucked up. But it would be funny, but it's like fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny to us because I have an awkward sense of humor, but that dude will put a restraining order against me.
Yeah. All right, guys. I guess, as in the words of Thomas Carrolley, let's land this plane.
Yes.
All right. Well, Tom, it was actually genuinely wonderful to fucking talk to you again. And I hope everybody enjoyed this one. We just wanted to get a little fucking ranting in because we haven't had a little ranting, and we got it in.
You had to exercise those demons.
Yeah. So if anybody learned anything from this so far, it's that Puerto Rico is kind of cool. Sarah Silverman changed her mind, and Meghan Markle is a piece of shit. So, all right. But all right, Tom, I love you, dude. I'm going to fucking land this plane. All right. Oh, wait, guys, make sure you fucking like, subscribe, all the goodies. Got to do it all for us. All right. Later. Love you.
Later.